Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely Stream Deck. For more information about the Stream Deck, the link is in the description below.
Good evening everyone and welcome to round number 14 of the Apex Online Racing Hype Energy Season 18 PCF1 League. Tonight we race where the word slow ceases to exist. It's all about speed and pizza and pasta and some other food assortments. Yes, of course, we're here in Monza at the Temple of Speed for the Italian Grand Prix, the next installment of the Europe middle part of this season. After this round, we will have covered 2/3 of this season. It started in August and it's nearly over before we have begun. On a circuit which has undergone a few changes in the past, because we did have that banked oval. We race at a track with 11 turns, 7 to the right and 4 to the left, with 2 DRS zones, promoting a lot of overtaking. Got famous corners. The Del Roger chicane and the Ascari chicane are of course Parabolica and the 2 Lesmos. At a track where full throttle is 76%, so the drivers full commitment through this lap. It's going to be amazing to see all these 13 drivers take this challenge of a circuit in this 18-minute qualifying session. Of course, we do have 13 of them, and we have 2 commentators as well. Myself, James Costello, and of course, the beautiful Jens.
Yes, indeed, and for once, I can actually use my backup invites and get into the lobby, so it's great.
I know you can't see me, but I'm holding up the Italian sign of content, or whatever. Yes. That is good.
Right. And yeah, talking about qualifying, which there's been a couple of minutes already, let's just get straight in and hope my game picks it, my OBS picks it up. My OBS decided to not to work for a second there, but we are in, and we're seeing the first couple of drivers be out on their first qualifying laps. No one has set their banker laps yet. That is of course understandable. We've only had just about 3 minutes gone, but of course first drivers out driving already. Soren, for example, one of them, all the drivers on the soft tyres. Not a big surprise there.
Championship leader Jarno Ottman, obviously. Danny is not here, unfortunately. It doesn't surprise me, to be honest. Neither is Alvaro Carreton. I think, as Hyper's just set his first banker up, I think, well, esports, the final event is on Wednesday, so it doesn't surprise me that most of the esports drivers are obviously committing towards that more than this race. And unlike Jarno, though, he is championship leader for a reason. He has committed to most of the races. I think he's committed to all but one. And he's finished every single race bar one, so he's actually attended every single race, which is good going, considering obviously he does have esports commitments. And to be fair, he's doing quite well in esports as well. But here he comes now, through the Ascari chicane, on his banker lap time, currently down in 13th and last. But obviously, that's expected, he's not set a lap time, neither has, well, the top 6, only half of the grid has set their lap time. He's actually decided to back out of setting that banker lap time. We have a new driver during this league in the form of Leopard, obviously formerly of Xbox. So you have a new recruit from console. Looking forward to see how he can compete against a new caliber of driver. Obviously similar pace, but different drivers, different qualities, still really quick. So let's see how Leopard can form on a different platform. We've seen drivers do well on the PC, moving from PS4 or Xbox. You know what I mean? It's a great example of that. But we have seen drivers fail to live up to some expectations.
Yes, indeed. But let's hope here's Leopard's coming down to turn 1. We can just see how he fares just on his bank lap, just riding on board with him. We can see if the transition from Xbox over to the PC has been a big jump, or if he's acclimatizing to it quite well. As it looks right now, he's not having any trouble setting an okay first sector and just using that gravel. Of course, the tracks and I guess the steering wheel wouldn't have changed at all, and the cars of course haven't either, so it shouldn't be the biggest of jumps, but sometimes racing with some new specs on the computers and some new screen can be a challenge for some. Now coming in to the Ascari complex, faring well, jumping those curbs as you should, coming down towards the fast right hand of Parabolica, that turn 11, the final corner of the circuit. Of course, one of the circuits with the fewest corners of the whole calendar, exiting that Parabolica full speed, coming across the line for 5th place bank lap. That is quite an okay time, running just behind Matthias. That is so close to him, just a couple of thousands, actually 11 thousandths it looks like, between those two drivers.
Still 3 and a bit, was just under 3/10 behind Hypers though, who as of late has had magnificent form. It got a podium, I think, in Belgium, unless Alvaro Carlton's penalty was overturned, which I don't think it was. Obviously did take the win in Hungary. It could make it 2 out of 3. Obviously we don't win it, we're yet to see Jarno's pace. Obviously he did, well he nearly won the last time out in Belgium. If it wasn't for Danny's supreme craftsmanship and racecraft really to seize his moment on the final lap to take the victory at Spa, where of course he did triumph in esports as well. Jarno's back out and going again on his second flying. That was one of 4 drivers yet to set a time, including the Mercedes of TRL Presneder. Obviously he started on the front row alongside Fulmer Danny at Belgium, but has just had no luck at all in this series, and it's just a matter of time of when it's going to run out. That Mercedes car just seems to be cursed, clearly unlike in real life. But let's see, he's coming down towards Parabolica, where of course another Mercedes of Nico Rosberg got turned upside down. If you know, you know. You can take a bit of liberties on the outskirts of that corner, but President is well inside the track limits, up towards the line, and he indeed goes pole position provisionally, an 18.212. Just over a tenth ahead of the Williams of Hypers. Very decent lap from the Savak. Here comes Jarno up, mate. Takes more curb on the exit of Parabolica. The shortest one up to a line, and it greets him only 5th fastest. 1:18.6. 4 tenths down on Presneder. I guess it's just a bank lap time, and there's probably still a lot more time to find for the Renault man.
Yes, indeed. Let's hope for that. And another driver that's faring well in the championship currently is of course Photon in 4th place, having quite a big gap up to the top 3 drivers of Hypers, Danny Beresnay and Jarno Opmeer. But Presneder and Photon fighting for that 4th spot, only 7 points or between them, so that is of course something we'll be looking for in this race to see. Hopefully a great battle between these two. Photon, who has had some bad luck this season, but mostly good luck to be in that 4th place. There were shortly some yellow flags in sector 2. That probably was just someone getting out of the way.
Yeah, the championship standings kind of reminisce real life, where we've got a driver who is comfortably out in front with Jarno Opmeer, who's taken 5 wins this season, which is an incredible record. And we've got a very good battle for second place, with Danny and Hypers level on points. And then we've got a battle for 4 between Photon and Presnader. And then there's battles all the way down to, well, it's anyone's game, really. I mean, Leopard, if he has some good form, he could possibly challenge maybe 10th, where Michael is currently. After Michael, unfortunately, is missing his second race in a row due to some other commitments. But yeah, Jarno's looking pretty comfortable. It'll take something for him to be knocked down off the perch of the championship, and it's just a matter of time of when he's going to win the championship. If he carries on in this form, it shouldn't be long now. And with Danny missing this race, it's all down to Hypers to put the pressure on. I think Corny's on his lap actually. Coming around the final corner in his Ferrari. And never mind. The track action's a bit... Well, there's not that much going on. I think Le Mans is diving into the pits. Nabadowski in the other Ferrari, I think, is the only one of 2 who's currently on his lap. I think Leopard's also going again. Big. Nabadowski's coming down towards Ascari now in the second Ferrari. Obviously, the Tifosi will be cheering him on, as will the Russians as well. They would have made their way over. Yeah, Ferrari looking to get a good result in front of their home crowd. At the moment, they're not doing so bad. Corny had a decent 6th place finish last time out. Unfortunately, Nabadowski did not make Belgium. So we're looking to come back with a bounce. And he could do a decent result in qualifying. And it goes just above his teammates. Very close between the 2 Ferrari drivers. Only a 1/100th of a second separating the 2. But, you know, it's very, very close as Leopard goes 3rd fastest with a 1:18.3. He could potentially fight for the battle for pole, you know. I mean, that'll be some debut.
Yes, indeed it would be, and the battle for pole is, as always, so extremely close. We're seeing the top guys only being separated. Currently, Hypers and Pression are being separated by 7/100ths of a second. And of course, Leopard with that time, I wouldn't be surprised if he could get in and fight for a pole position. You know, as I said before, these guys are so close, and it's not so much how your lap is, it's more about luck and where other drivers are on when you're doing your lap for these drivers, since their times are going to depend so much on it. And actually, Presnader is about to start his lap, or currently on a lap, I believe. So let's see if he can maybe challenge for pole position here with just over 5 minutes left of the session. Coming through the final corner with ERS mode in hot lap, coming across the line. Oh, he did not improve. He was only 4 thousandths down on his lap time. That is just showing how close this field are.
And it was 8 thousandths up in Sector 2, so a very close lap compared to his previous one, but just couldn't find the time where he needed it. Hypers, though, is currently going, and he's marginally up, but didn't have the best Ascari chicane. Messed it up a tad, but still comes out there unscathed, and could potentially make up a bit of time up through Parabolica, but I think he's actually backed off, and he has. So he was around about 3 or 4 hundredths up on his best, but obviously he was not happy with that Ascari chicane, and thought, well, best pit. Because only 4 minutes left of this qualifying session, and if he comes around for another lap, it's unlikely he'll have time to do another lap.
And I'm seeing some of you in chat complaining about some lag. That might be due to my OBS playing up once again. Technical issues. That's great. That should solve itself slowly, hopefully. If not, I'm going to try and fix that.
Oh, I've seen more evidence of slipstreaming like we saw last week in Belgium with the two Triton drivers. Le Mans is benefiting from Matthias giving him slipstream down towards Ascari. Let's see how much of a benefit it is to the Red Bull driver. Obviously, we did see elements of that last weekend at Spa in 3 separate occasions. I think Le Mans was involved once again back then. And here, he's down in 10th. He's probably going to go above Matthias, and he does. Leaps up into 7th place. Big jump there. I'm assuming he's going to return the favour to Matthias when he gets down towards Ascari. So again, more examples of teammate slipstreaming, but not teammate slipstreaming. I'm unsure of the word to describe it, but it's unorthodox, but it works.
Yes, and I think you're right in the two guys returning the favour to each other, because here comes Matthias.
Oh, we messed up.
Oh, yeah, that's... But luckily, only on his out lap, for some reason, on my screen. I hope that's correct. But yeah, the two Triton guys returning the favour to each other, or at least trying to do so. I think actually there maybe Photon got a bit of a slipstream off the man there. Yeah, interesting tactics from the guys, as it looks like all the drivers are lining up for their final qualifying attempts. And I'm going to try and solve the lag problems between the qualifying and the race. Very sorry for them currently. But now let's just try and get the final bit of the qualifying done. We see Matthias into turn 1, locking up there. Hypers out, has started his, going through Curva Grande. With the skies getting a bit darker over the track, could maybe mean that the track is cool, but that doesn't look to hinder any of the drivers on their laps. Here Hypers coming through Lesmo 1, then Lesmo 2 out towards the second DRS straight, opening the DRS, coming down towards that fast left, right, left of Ascari. Just a bit up on his lap time, coming through Ascari, making it nice and neat. Soren retiring from the session, not feeling that he can get more out of his car. Now Hypers coming down in to Parabolica. What will his time be? Coming across the line, will he improve? No, he will not. So close for him to improving. But now let's keep an eye on Preshnader. Coming through Ascari, not really sure what his sector times are, as I just had a big lap time. Big lag spike there, but you're saying he's up on his lap time. Now let's see, as the checkered flag has come out, coming across line. Oh no, over 4 seconds up. That's not what you want. Leopard also slowing down. What about Photon?
Jarno's up.
Jarno's up. Oh, that is
really, really up on his personal best.
Yes, indeed.
He's the last one really is to finish their lap time. He comes up to the line now. Currently 6th, only up to 5th, but it was a 10th and a half advantage. And I think there's a few drops of rain, which may have impacted the final part of that qualifying session. Yeah, I think that I can see a few spots of rain. That's probably why a lot of drivers fail to improve. There's a small drops of rain, result in a bit less grip and a bit less temperature in the tyres than they could perform to their optimum, and that's resulted in Hypers claiming pole position. Flying Finn, though, we didn't mention him. He's alongside him. It's a Williams 1-2. Unlike in real life, it's actually not a reverse grid for once. Yes, Williams 1-2 ahead of a Mercedes. When was the last time we saw that? Too long ago, but very impressive lap time from both the two Williams, and also Presneder as well, 1:18.2, very good lap. And Leopard, his first qualifying race, his first qualifying here in PC, and he puts his car on the second row of the grid. I was just waiting for everyone to finish qualifying, and it. The last driver has retired. And yeah, interesting qualifying. I don't know what that's going to make of the race, though. Potentially. Everyone's on the softs. Is that giving an indication that it's going to be a wet start? In the qualifying, assume so, but obviously I doubt the race happens straight after qualifying in the game. I'll have to wait and see, though. I wouldn't mind a wet or dry race. But 18.1, such an impressive lap time from Hypers, gives me an indication that he was using his fine-tuned dry setup and probably not as wet. But for commentators, we have no indication of the wet weather, or any weather, to be honest, for the race. But yeah, Anka the only one without a time. Yeah, that's 13 for today's Italian Grand Prix. We have 27 laps ahead of us. And it will be dry.
Very unfortunate. We would, of course, been nice to see some wet weather, and yes, you can see it doesn't look like any sky or any clouds in the sky above. So looking like it's going to be a dry race.
Come on, Monza. Yeah. Come on, it's the 1st of December. Come on. It's Christmas. It's basically Christmas. Why can't you just be a bit wet? You know, that's typical winter weather. Why do you have to be? I know this is obviously not. I don't think the game recognises it's December, but yeah, this should be. I don't want to get the Christmas jokes out early, but this should be a cracker. I'm saving it until later on when Christmas is more around the corner. But this formation lap is very vitally important for the drivers. They need to get the tyre temperature in because we've got a long run from from the starting grid to the line. It's around about 600-ish meters. If they don't have the tyre temperature in their tyres to warm them up and to get going, then they're going to struggle off the line. But unfortunately for them, if they do lose a few positions on the first corner or first bend, it's not very difficult to overtake here. Even if we do have slipstream trains and whatever, we've got a lot of DRS, a lot of overtaking opportunities. So if we should be in store, we should have a very interesting race on our hands. And who knows who will come out on top today. Hypers obviously does have the pole position, does have the advantage initially, but if he can, he has to convert his qualifying pace into some decent race pace, and we saw in Hungary just how good that was. Can he do it once again? And another country where the flags are green, white, and red. I've just realised that.
Yes, indeed. And the driver's now coming round. Let's just be sure on the tyres. It is all softs except for Hadler, Soren, and Anchor, which are on mediums, correct?
Yeah.
Perfect.
So they'll be looking to go long with the medium. They did start outside the top 10, so it is logical for them to just risk the alternate strategy and see how they go. A pit window should open around lap 7 or 8 for the softs, and for the mediums around lap 15 or 16, but you have to get through the first corner, and the first lap especially. Monza is notorious, turn 1 at least, is for creating some spicy action. Let's see what the 13 drivers ahead of us can do. Hyper's on pole, flying fit alongside him, and Williams 1-2, and we are gearing up for 5 red lights. It's Monza, and it's go for round 14 of AOR. And Hypers gets a really good start. His teammate did not. And he's being swallowed up by the McLaren and Mercedes to go 3 wide into turn 1. Hypers leads from Flying Finn, pressured on his inside, Leopard round his outside. He manages somehow to hang on to second place. He's now stream through Curva Grande. And that's McLaren going side by side. Leopard's actually made up a place at the start. He's ahead of Presnader, but they go down towards the Roger chicane with Mercedes on the inside. McLaren hangs around the outside. Leopard's in third. From Presnader, from Photon going wheel to wheel with the championship leader, Jarno Opmeer. Triton Le Mans waiting in the wings. Le Mans goes side by side with the Renault of Opmeer. Can he hang it in there through Lesmo to this contact? Somehow Le Mans keeps his car on the road, but he's lost out to Napadovsky in a thrilling opening lap. And I think Matthias and his Triton teammate might try and get past Le Mans. No, he thinks about it, but backs out as he heads through Ascari. Hypers maintaining the lead, and he's 1 second clear of his teammate who survived a lot of challenges on that opening lap, and Leopard's up a place as well.
It's a great start for some of these guys. We're seeing behind Anchor looking to make up positions, thinking of making the move down the inside of Soren. Maybe a bit optimistic from him, but now let's see into turn 1. Any drivers going for the dive.
Jarno.
It is something we see quite often. Yes, Jarno Opmeer looking to defend or go around the outside. Actually, side by side, they're going inside of each other. Some ghosting there. Looks like Jarno has the position there, but now look, Napadovsky coming behind, trying to go around the outside of Photon. Think they're trying to go 3 wide, but there's not room for it. Still Napadovsky on the inside of Photon. Turns to the outside or just gets the move done. Looks like Photon had some trouble on the inside on that curb. Now look at Matthias behind real close to Le Mans. Was looking to maybe join in to the fight there. Of course, look at Le Mans really close to the sister team of Toro Rosso there, looking to make the move again down behind Mr. Anchor, looking to make the move on Soren. I think he does it this time into Curva Grande. Great move there, but now let's look again at the front. Is anyone going to make any moves at the front? It doesn't look like it. I think we've gotten the whole thing spaced out at the front, but down in the midfield, Le Mans was looking to maybe make a move on Photon. The same Matthias on Le Mans, but no, none of them was close enough.
I think they pretty much stabilised at the front. Actually, I just got one on board with Flying Finn. He made a meal of the second chicane there, and he was right closing up to Hypers actually, but just made a huge error. And look who's right on the tail of him. It's Leopard. With DRS, don't think he'll make a move down towards the sky. I think the Flying Finn's having a few issues. Connection-wise, he's lagging a little bit, which obviously will distract Leopard, and obviously put him at a bit of a disadvantage when trying to get past. Obviously, Leopard does need to get a move on, as he does have the Mercedes of Presnader right behind, and Jarno, after clearing the Hungarian driver in the Toro Rosso off Photon, is now within DRS ranges. Look, Presnader looking at a move as he head now onto lap 4, onto the start-finish straight. I think Flying Finn should be a sitting duck, as Jarno setting the timing boards alight with his fastest lap. Will Leopard dive it down the inside at turn 1? No, he thinks better of it. Maybe if he gets a decent exit out of turn 2, he could maybe challenge down towards the second chicane. But if anything, Presnader has got the better run. But unfortunately, the slipstream just cancels out, and as Leopard gains on Flying Finn, Presnader will gain the exact same. It kind of cancels out. Oh, that's McLaren, I think, moving about there. Maybe it was Leopard having the connection issues. We don't know. Maybe he... Well, it's probably advised that he gets an Ethernet connection. I'm not sure if he did have that on the Xbox, but it is advised that everyone does have the best internet connection possible especially you gents, because you're the one broadcasting it to us and to all the very good viewers. Photon is behind Napadovsky. He's closing up right to the back as Le Mans actually dropped off, and Presney, the first man on the penalty board. Oh, Le Mans getting a bit sideways on the exit of Ascari. But yeah, things are pretty much stabilised at the front and at the back. But it's Hyper's still leading the way, and by quite some margin. The biggest gap in the whole field of just over 2 seconds. His teammate has all sorts of pressure. Any move's going to happen. I think Presley is just gearing up the McLaren of Leopard down towards turn 1. He's going to try and hang it round the outside, but Leopard is moving about too much for him to even think about it. Photon's passed, and so is Matthias. So the two trying boy switching, and Photon has now got back ahead of the Ferrari.
There's great fighting we're seeing down there, and also at the top, Leopard going well against the top guys here. But Presneda real close to the rear end of him into that second chicane. And yes, I know there are some lag issues, don't quite know why that is. I'm trying to figure it out, but for now, let's just try and keep on and look at this great racing. Presneda on the back of Leopard. Presneda does have a penalty though, but going down the inside into Ascari. Oh, with the lag, it's all getting a bit shaky there. But now Leopard trying to go back again. Jarno Opmeer coming from behind, our championship leader. Think for a second they were 3 wide. Leopard losing 3 or 2 positions off that, going from 3rd down to 5th. And Jarno Opmeer moving up to 4th, and Presneda up to 3rd. But now Jarno Opmeer going to make the move for 3rd place down at the straight with the DRS. Presneda not getting the DRS off Flying Finn for some reason there, but Jarno Opmeer makes the move nicely done even before the braking zone has ended.
Picking up 2 places after. I mean, Presneda made a good move at Ascari, but in my opinion, it wasn't as necessary as maybe he thought. But hindsight is a beautiful thing. I think it probably would have been better to just wait a bit and then get him on the main start finish straight, but maybe, as Leopard did obviously have the DRS from Flying Finn, he thought he had to caught him napping a little bit, and he obviously did, but by doing that he obviously put himself in jeopardy of the Flying Dutchman of Jarno Opmeer, who's catching the Flying Finn, interestingly, as his teammate Hypers starts to pull away even further. Jarno knows if he wants to have any chance of winning this race, he has to clear this Williams right here, right now, as we head on to lap 7 of 27, where Jarno has already made up 2 places at the start. Obviously not having the best of starts, being overtaken by Photon, but got ahead of the Toro Rosso, as now Photon's been overtaken again by the Ferrari of Napadovsky. But yeah, Jarno just couldn't find the drive down towards turn 1 to get past, maybe down towards the second chicane and through Curva Grande. He's actually put his ERS back into 0, so obviously he isn't thinking of getting past him at the moment. Very wise from Jarno. I mean, obviously this is a very tricky chicane, and going too wide, we've seen bad things happen in the past. You don't need to remind Sebastian Vettel of what happened in that second chicane. So Jarno is going to sit back for the moment and just wait for that opportunity to arise. I don't think he'll be under pressure from any of the 2 drivers behind. And yeah, let's see how quickly he can bypass the Williams and sit after the other Williams.
Yes, and of course it looks like we're about to have formed one of those infamous slipstream trains here, going from 2nd down towards 5th, or maybe even further down, as it looks like 3, maybe Photon, Matthias and Le Mans, I believe it is, catching up to this small train. But now let's look at this. Jarno Opmeer trying to go down the inside of Flying Finn with the DRS. Gets the move done nicely, but now look at Presneda coming from behind. Will he make a move? I don't think he will, but he was close. He was thinking about it with the DRS. Again, some jumping around by the drivers. So yeah, some yellow flags and the Ferrari round. Cornish round in turn 1. I don't quite know what happened. I think there was some slight contact with someone towards the back of the field. Unfortunate for Corny there. But again, looking at the front, still closely together up here.
Further back, Matthias is right behind Photon in the battle for 6th place. Not really sure what happened to Corny, but obviously, yeah, spun round at turn 1, and there's 2 Ferraris running last, but Napadowski has now pitted onto some fresh rubber, triggering the undercut on the likes of Photon and Matthias, who he was battling. Who is Hyper's going to pit? No, he doesn't bite the bullet. Any of the top 5 going to come into the pits? It doesn't. Oh yeah, President is in.
President pits first at the top, guys, looking to try for that undercut. A whole bunch of guys pits. I think that's President, Photon, Matthias, and Le Mans all pits. Actually, also Corny down in 12th place. All those guys pits. Actually, the Mercedes are double stacking. That could. I don't think it went too well for them. I think it was close in the pits. Maybe they got away with it.
Now Matthias got held up a little bit there, similar to the Ferrari double stack in the real life race today, I should say. Speaking of the real life race, I think we've had more action in the first 9 laps than we did in the entire course of the 55 lap race in real life F1 today. But you know, it's the end of the season in F1. That means we've got full coverage of this AOR season to bring until F1 returns. This season will be done around about February, so by then wins testing will be only a few weeks away. But yeah, the drivers still have a lot of work to do to finish this season off, and Hypers actually is now coming into the pits, as is Jarno Otmir. Flying Finn wisely stays out. He does not want to get held up by his teammates. Double stacking, and Leopard's also in.
Yeah, of course, here in these laps, it is where you'll see most guys pit, most of these soft runners. We, of course, have a couple of guys on the medium tyres from the start. So yeah, they'll be going longer. They'll be the benchmark to see kind of how long you can take these medium tyres before they fall off that infamous cliff and they lose too much performance. Oh, Anchor cutting the chicane there, cutting that second chicane and gaining a 3-second time penalty. Not what he wanted to do, especially not when he's trying to gain as much time as possible on the medium tyres on that flipped strategy.
I think Leopard's had a pretty slow stop, as he's only come out just behind Napadowski. That, or the undercut, has shown its worth, and it's really brought Napadowski back into contention. Leopard is around 2 seconds behind Jan Otmir. I don't think he was that far behind when they both pitted, so he may have been held up in the pits. That's unfortunate. McLaren are around about in the middle of the road when it comes to the pit stops and the pit crew, which doesn't really benefit. You probably want to be in Williams' situation, as that's what Flying Finn's going to encounter. I don't think anyone's going to join him in the pits, so he'll have a clean pit stop. Williams guys, in real life, we've seen them doing such great work, and a pretty quick stop to get him out there. Will he be ahead of Jarno? It's probably going to be a no. Will it be ahead of Leopard? I think he'll just emerge. And it's going to be very close, because the closing speed at turn 1 is much greater for the McLaren, as the Williams comes out at 70 kilometers now. Oh, really close to the Ferrari, and Mercedes going wheel to wheel. That's Presnade on the inside, and Napadowski loses out to Photon there, as he tried to sneak down the inside of the Ferrari at turn 1, caught him napping. But it is in fact the Mercedes who be left in the dust, as Photon tries to get past Napadowski, but to no avail. He sticks behind the Ferrari, but gets ahead of the Mercedes. Flying Finn did get ahead and did stay ahead of the McLaren, and now he can go chase after Jarno Otmir.
Yes, And of course there is a bit of clean air for Flying Finn. So on these one lap newer medium sizes, that's going to be the biggest of differences, but he will have to use this lap to get them up to temperature and use the clean air to catch up to Jarno Opmeer, because if he doesn't do it, he will then be stuck in one of these infamous slipstream trains and he'll just be the front runner, and therefore meaning that all the guys from behind with the DRS will pass him easily down the straight. And actually Jarno Opmeer, yeah, Leopard now coming on the Flying Finn. Will he be able to make the move with the DRS? As I said, quite an easy move, but down behind, Preschneider and Photon going side by side into the first chicane. Let's see who will emerge out on top. It looks like Photon will know they're still going side by side. Preschneider still down the inside through Curvo Grande, coming down to that second chicane, still going side by side. And Preschneider comes out on top in that battle. Photon not being able to break that enough, but he loses it. Preschneider loses it on the exit of the second chicane in the gravel trap. Just puts a tyre a bit too wide, puts the throttle down and retires from the session. Really unfortunate. He's done it so well in this race and just puts a tyre a bit too wide in the gravel trap and goes out of this race.
It's so darn easy to do. That second chicane, infamous for that side gravel trap on the exits. It's claimed many victims in the past, and unfortunately the Slovakian is the next on the list. That clears a little bit of space in this battle. Photon has lost a lot of time battling with Mercedes and obviously avoiding getting out of the way when the Mercedes was round. A shame for Philip, really. He was looking to have a really good race, and unfortunately, I did say when will his luck end? Well, it hasn't ended, unfortunately. The streak continues. I just hope in Singapore next time out he just gets a bit of slice of luck. That's all I want, and I'm pretty sure that's all he'll want. I mean, he probably might want to put that on his Christmas list. A bit of luck in AOR this season. Let's see if Santa can bring that. But yeah, lap 13 of 27. The top three are yet to pit, as they're just slipstreaming each other for their benefit before they come into the pits. Hypers is the effective leader, but look at this then. Jarno Opmeer, hello. Under a second behind the Williams. He's been gaining quietly, whilst we were focusing on the drivers behind. Leopard is 3.7 seconds behind Jarno Opmeer, and I think it's going to be a battle between Hypers and Jarno for the race win today. Leopard obviously in provisional third place at the moment, but does have challenges from behind of the Williams, the Flying Finn, and Napadovsky, and possibly Photon if he can claw up that 1.6 seconds that he's lost battling with Mercedes. The only driver who is currently out of this race, Preschneider. Le Mans in 10th place at the moment. Behind him is his training teammate Matthias. He's battling away with Wambo Corny. Corny tries to move at turn 1, but is just a bit too far behind.
Looking at this fight, with this middle group, we've seen some great fighting from these guys, and when the medium tyre runners pits in a couple of laps, we'll really be able to see the fight for first place and see if some of these drivers can catch up the gaps that's been created by some of the people. Of course, seeing that 4-second gap, that quite large gap up to Jarno Opmeer and Hypers, looking like they'll be running away with the fight, because these three, Leopard, Flying Finn and Napadovsky, could hinder themselves. And Anchor speeding in the pit lane. Soren and Anchor pits. But as I was saying, as I just cut myself off there, Leopard, Flying Finn and Napadovsky are hindering themselves in catching those two front guys. The battling with DRS down the straights, not really getting too far forward, just hindering themselves. just creating a larger and larger gap. And of course that is something Jarno Opmeer and Hypers will be licking their lips over, because they'll just be able to fight for the victory all by themselves out in front, as it's currently just a handler that's missing to pit in this race.
Jarno's closing up even more, only 3 tenths separating the two of them. When or if Jarno makes, where will he do? You would assume he'll wait until the start-finish straight. If you compare ERS's, Hyper's got a little bit more into his advantage, but not that much of a difference. 56 compared to 49. Jarno just seems to be the quicker of the two drivers. Hyper's obviously starting from pole, Jarno starting from P5, has made his way all the way up into a provisional second place. It could turn into a provisional lead. Hadler carries on for another lap, so let's see. The battle for second place. Hypers is eager to defend. Jarno Opmeer is not using any ERS just yet. Is he going to do the Danny approach? Obviously got caught out by Danny, waiting and waiting and waiting. Speaking of waiting, or not waiting, Flying Finn's got past Leopard. So one Williams overtakes, the other succeeds in defending. Corney is unfortunately out of the race. Not 100% sure what happened to him. We're assuming he's coming to the pits and retired. So that seals off a pretty miserable race for one of the Ferrari drivers. Obviously he was round at turn 1. An incident we are unaware of. We did see the tail end of it. And he becomes the second casualty of this race. But yeah, Jarno's just jumping back a little bit. Obviously just maybe saving a bit of fuel and ERS, stuck in the DRS. As long as he's within DRS range of Hypers, he should be okay. The moment he falls off, then he has to work that much bigger to try and gain a little bit more time. But Hypers and Jarno looking very comfortable out there, as I think Hyper will dive into the pits on this lap, and he indeed does. So yeah, Hypers will regain the lead of this race on the 17th lap of 27. Only 10 and a bit more laps to go once they cross the line. It's quite a short race compared to most. It's quite a short track, and only 27 laps. This race is over much earlier than most. But yeah, Hyper's still leading the way with Flying Finn in third. Hadler will come out comfortably, well, in around 9th or 10th, make that 11th. But he's behind Soren and Matthias.
Yes, of course, that could be a battle we can look for, because they have 3 drivers on soft tyres and the rest of the field on elderly medium tyres. So I think Flying Finn went a bit too wide into the gravel trap there, lost a bit of time to Leopard. He was beginning to gain a bit of a gap, but still just over half a second between those two. And of course, if Flying Finn manages to get away from Leopard, that means he won't be needing to defend every lap, as it looks like he was just about to loot it through the Ascari complex there. But yeah, if he doesn't have to defend every single lap, he will have to take those better racing lines and catch up to the top 2 of Hypers and Jarno Opmeer.
He's still carrying Leopard and Apadowski with him. I don't think that battle's over. I think they are just saving ERS and fuel to maybe have a melee of a battle towards the end. Although saving ERS, I don't think that's Leopard's plan at the moment. He's only got 14%. Flying Finn only has 17%. Jarno Opmeer, 75%, and he's still within DRS range of Hypers. You know, we did see this last time out, didn't we? The fact Jarno and Danny, they were just slipstreaming each other that far while saving fuel and ERS before they had that mad last lap battle. Unfortunately, we didn't have a few more laps to savour to witness such a good battle, but for what we got, it was pretty decent. Obviously, Danny did take the win But yeah, the racecraft of some of these drivers, just managing the pace, managing the tyres, managing the fuel, managing the ERS, and ready to deploy it whenever Jarno pleases. It just shows why he is where in the position he is, being in a Renault esports contract and doing very well in his commitments. And he could be on course for his 6th win of the season. But Hypers will be his only challenger to that, I assume, as Leopard actually has overtaken Flying Finn in a battle for 3rd position. Locks up a little bit into the first chicane, but gets it stopped crucially, and he is now up into 3rd position. Yeah, these 3 are battling a bit more intensely than the top 2 are, but it's just waiting for Jarno to make his move, really. He knows where to not go for the move and where to. So let's keep a lookout.
I think what will happen is he's going to be using hot lap ERS on the final 2 laps. Until then, he's just going to be sitting behind Hypers. But of course, we can't be sure until it happens. So it's only to just sit back, relax, and watch the drama unfold at the top. Whilst that happens, we can look at the battle for 3rd place, which this is between Leopard, Flying Finn and Napadovsky. All 3 drivers so close to each other, none of them able to escape the DRS.
And further down, the soft runners are doing a really good job on their alternate strategy. Anka is right behind the Toro Rosso of Photon. Down in 7th, will make it 6th if he gets past the Hungarian and going wheel to wheel along the main straight, and he breezes past the Toro Rosso as his teammate is going wheel to wheel with Napadovsky. He's been overtaken by Flying Finn, but stays ahead of Napadovsky. But Anka, with the pace he's setting, yes, he has penalties, but he could end up, well, position-wise, on the podium, or at least challenging for it. He's setting really good lap times, as are Soren and Hadler. They're making gains as well, but not as good as Anka. Anka on 5-lap-old softs compared to the 12-lap-old mediums on Napadovsky. And he can see all 3 of them in his sights. I bet he'll be ruining speeding in the pit lane once the checkered flag falls, but for the meantime, he can just try his best as Leopard actually gets his penalty in the other McLaren. But yeah, let's keep an eye out for Anka as well, and let's see how much progress he can make as he claws up to the back of the battle for 3rd place.
There's of course only 1.5 seconds between him and Napadovsky, meaning that it will probably only be on the next lap he'll get the DRS, so we'll probably close that gap quite quickly if he doesn't come under attack from Photon from behind. That is of course something he'll have to look out for and not make any mistakes. He will of course be losing to that train on every single straight due to the DRS usage of that so-called slipstream train.
The moment Anka gets within DRS range of Napadovsky, I think it's a done deal. Yes, Napadovsky does have the DRS, but the traction difference that Anka will get out of the most important corners, for example, the turn 1-2 chicane, Parabolica possibly, and he's so close, he's 1 millisecond outside of DRS or when the detection point was, so surely if he gets a good run out of Ascari, he will be within that 1 second, but actually it's lost a bit of time, and oh no Anka, come on! The moment we're praising him and saying what a good job he's done on those soft compound tyres. Another penalty, I think that makes it 11 seconds. Let me just confirm, yes it is. And that's going to drop him way down the field. But let's see how the battle for 3rd place unfolds. Once again on lap 22, Flying Finn tries to defend. Oh, they're going to be 3 wide I think. Yes they are. There goes Napadovsky to the inside of both the Williams and the McLaren, and the Williams have been overtaken twice. Leopard through into 3rd, Napadovsky through into 4th. Anka saw that action unfold right ahead of him, and further back there's more action going on as Lamont passes Soren. or I think that was Soren trying to overtake Le Mans, but couldn't quite do it. Hadler has got past the Red Bull driver. But yeah, interesting developments, and look at Anka right on the tail of Flying Finn as Leopard tries to pull away.
Yes, of course, with this battling, they've gained, well, they've lost a couple of tenths to the guys in front. I think it's going to be a tall order to try and claw that back. 3.4 seconds up to the front guys. I think we'll be seeing a fight for third place and a fight for first place, and Le Mans getting a 3-second time penalty. Something that's quite easy to do on the circuit with those chicanes. Quite easy to just cut a bit too much of them. Now let's look at this fight. Anka close to Flying Finn, and Flying Finn real close to Nabadovsky into turn 1, attacking Leopard, trying to go down the inside. Flying Finn round the outside of Nabadovsky, turns to the inside, then Curvo Grande, he will be on the outside, getting a bit of a small tank slapper, but now Mr. Anka with better traction, getting a bit boxed in by Nabadovsky there, but tries to make the move on Flying Finn, still going side by side into that second chicane, but not able to get the move done. But Flying Finn gets a tyre in the gravel just a bit too far. Anka getting a bit better traction, still going side by side through the Lesmo curves, not able to get the place. But now with the DRS, will any of the drivers be able to attack each other? Nabadovsky falling outside the DRS of Leopard. Not what he wants to do now. He'll have to try and claw that back, whilst he also defends from Flying Finn and Anka. And with this battle, they're also losing time to Photon. He'll be coming from behind on old medium tyres to join in this battle, probably from the next lap if they keep this up. Mr. Anka opening the DRS, the same does Flying Finn. Flying Finn trying to go down the inside of Nabadovsky, gets it done before the braking zone. What about Anka going side by side into turn 1? There's a bit of contact. Oh, Nabadovsky almost going around there, able to keep it under control, but loses time. Photon now right behind Nabadovsky. Will he make the move into that second chicane? Getting all pushed all the way onto the grass, tries to make room for himself, not able to get room enough to go down the inside into the second chicane. But just as I said it, Photon just joins into this battle. Nabadovsky losing 2 positions.
Oh, Le Mans round at the back. Spun at the exit of the second Lesmo, and he was doing so well, battling away with Soren. I wonder if they came into contact. I'm not sure. I think Le Mans just lost it by himself. He is down and outside of the points, and any chance of him making his way back up into a points-paying position have gone out the window. So yeah, what a disappointment for Le Mans. He is down and out pretty much in P11. At the front, we've not been having a look at the top 2 for a while. Jarno is dropped back a little bit. And you'd think with 3 laps to go, he'd be starting to put the pressure on, but well, he hasn't. He's there. Hypers can clearly see him, but Hypers has already been in this position before with Danny, and he's managed to make it work in Hungary. And it looks like he hopes to make it work here in Monza tonight, but Jarno, we can't rule him out just yet. Got 2 and a bit laps to go of this race. 8-10 separating the 2 of them. I think this is the time where Jarno, it's now or never really, to try and claw up on Hypers. He has, well, pretty similar levels of VRS, so it's going to be a level playing field. As Jarno closes in once again on the young Pole in the Williams. This is the old Pole in real life. Robert Kubica says goodbye with a new talent on the horizon. Obviously, I don't think he is real life F1 quality. But in terms of the AOR Hype Energy Sim Racing Leagues, we have Hypers on our hands, and he could make it 2 wins out of 3. Jarno obviously will have something different to say about that. As we head onto the penultimate lap, Hyper's going defensive. He's showing his signs of intent when Jarno will get into a battle with him. Just stays behind for the time being. Tucks in behind him. When is he going to make this move? He's not got a lot of time to think about it. Or will he just settle for second place? He can afford to do that. He can probably afford to finish second place every single race and still win the championship by a comfortable margin. But if you're Jarno, you want to win this race, surely.
Yes, you surely will, and there's just a 5/10 gap between these two. They're coming on to the final lap, just halfway through the penultimate laps, and Jarno falling back a bit through the Lesmos. As Lewandowski picks up himself a 3-second time penalty now through Ascari. The top two goes.
Hyper's a little bit scruffy, through Ascari. That's going to cost him as they go down towards Parabolica. Hypers needs to nail this exit. But they were pretty similar as we head on to the final lap. There's yellow flag where Soren's unfortunately off. He's out of this race. Le Mans will get a point, but as he approaches the final lap, Hyper's going very early to defend. We've seen last time overtakes in Monza where Danny got past Nicholas Longa in the battle for the esports lead. There goes Jarno around the outside and Hypers is around! They've made contact, the top two, and Hypers is in a spin. Can he get back onto the track ahead of Leopard? Somehow he does, so they will let him know. It's going to be an absolute fist of a battle for second place. Jarno looks like he's going to win the race. That incident will definitely be decided by the stewards. As there goes Leopard, can he try and move? As Anker's right behind him in the second McLaren, goes a little bit wide, Leopard there, and loses a bit of momentum. Hypers, he'll be furious inside of that cockpit. What's happened between the top two, we don't know. I think, did Jarno squeeze him? Did Hypers just not leave enough space? Was it a racing incident? I'm sure Jarno, well, if it was a racing incident, he won't care. Hypers is the big loser from that. Thankfully for him, though, he's going to have to settle for second place. As his teammate Flying Finn actually might get past Anker here. You know what? I think he actually will. They're going to go wheel to wheel into Parabolica. As Jarno is going to cross the line, but I'm far too interested in this battle. Jarno has won. There's going to be a drag race. McLaren versus Williams. Who edges it out? Flying Finn, I think, did. Anker, with all those penalties, will drop down a lot. But that was a thrilling climax to that Italian Grand Prix. I thoroughly enjoyed that ending. But what a controversial ending as well. Jarno takes the win on track. But I think the stewards have a lot more work on their hands.
Yes, indeed. And while all of that was happening, we saw a DNF of Soren, and I believe that... Oh, that's my voice. Has given up there after a very entertaining race. I believe that on the exit of Ascari, he may have spun and hit the wall as Le Mans crashes just before the finish line and comes home in 10th place and gets points. The final finisher of this race. Unfortunately, lost 3 drivers in this race. But now, looking at the finishing order after all the penalties have been applied, just after we see the drivers on the podium. Of course, Hypers, don't think he's too happy to stand on that second spot. Has already left the session there, as you can see on the bottom. I am sure that he will be in the stewards room in a few minutes to complain about it. But there, he will at least stand on the podium as we head on to the final standings after the penalties have been applied. If I'm lucky enough not to get kicked. No, I can at least stay in the lobby. So Jarno, for now at least, wins this race. Hypers in second place. Leopard joining from Xbox coming in third, then Photo in fourth, Flying Finn in fifth, Nabadowski in sixth, Matthias in seventh, Mr. Ank in eighth, Hadler in ninth, and Le Mans coming home as the final finisher in 10th place. Unfortunately, losing in this race, Soren, Corny, and Preschneider. Preschneider unfortunately lost quite early on. Then Corny and Soren falling later in this race. The Anchor coming home with 11 seconds worth of penalties. I'm sure he won't be happy with that, as he was in the fight for a high spot.
Yeah, he's my driver of the day, to be honest. Even though on the results screen it doesn't look that impressive, but the way he managed that first stint and also that second stint really impressed me, especially from a driver who started this season out in F2 and was in contention for second place at the end, but obviously he needs to work a bit more on his penalties, and obviously speeding in the pit lane is never a good thing, and it's always going to cost you, and it did to the Finn quite badly. But overall, I think you can take a lot of positives from this race, as can Hypers, despite only coming second place. But you know, we'll have to wait on the thoughts of the top two after that incident will probably be taken to the stewards. But Jarno made the provisional race winner after what was a really entertaining Grand Prix. It took a while to get into to just steady, and then when it came alive, it came alive.
Yes, you must say. And I think unfortunately that's going to be all for us tonight. And we will see you, I believe, next week for the Singapore Grand Prix. We'll be racing under the floodlights. And yeah, we will see you next week for that Grand Prix. Until then, have a good one. Goodbye.